Chilly and clear night in lower downtown Denver. And the Rockies are back in town, the hottest team in baseball. They'll take on the Chicago Cubs this weekend, 1-3. Yeah, the Rockies paraphernalia is everywhere. Colorado with a 10-2 start, the best record in all of baseball, as they take on the 6-6 Chicago Cubs. With Jeff Houston, I'm Drew Goodman. Glad you're along, everybody. It is a bit brisk out there tonight, and the wind's blowing pretty good, but nothing stopping these Rockies of late. They have won 6 consecutive games. How about this? In the Mets series, they win all 4, as you're well aware. They spotted the Mets a 2-run lead in every game.
Well, I just think that shows you the mentality for the Rockies this year out on the road, and that's one thing that they really worked hard at this spring training. Some Jim Tracy brought up quite frequently when he first got that club together. We need to play better out on the road. Well, they certainly did do that. Last year they were 31-50, and you always wonder coming out of spring training, you talk about different things. This is what we want to do. Well, the Rockies went out and did it. You can see the runs per game, winning percentage, the one-run games. That's the other thing. The only game they lost was that extra inning ball game. And you think about this, they were 4-1 during that road trip, winning one-run ball games. That's the other key for that. Contributions up and down the lineup. Everybody produced from top to bottom, 1 to 8, throwing a couple pitchers. It was a complete team road victory for what they were able to do.
And we all know how they struggled on the road last year, and they struggled to score runs. On this road trip, they didn't struggle to score at all, averaging better than 6 runs a game. That's going to win you a ton of baseball games over the course of a season.
It is, and that's a good thing about it, because you got to go win out on the road, because you know you're going to win here.
No question. When we come back, we'll talk about what's his name again?
Troy.
Yeah, the shortstop. Shortstop's been playing pretty well. We'll tell you a little bit more about it when we come back. Rockies and Cubs coming up in a few. together. There's Carlos Gonzalez. You note that he's got a 42 on his jersey. Everybody in baseball, obviously Mariano Rivera, the only guy left who can wear 42, kind of grandfathered in. But Jackie Robinson being honored as we do every April 15th in Major League Baseball. It is a special day. It is the 14th year that we've honored Jackie Robinson on this day. More as the evening unfolds. I want to talk about Troy Tulowitzki. Amazing. I mean, you run out of adjectives, but you go back to September 1st of last year. He's hit 22 home runs. The next guy in the National League over that same period, Jason Worth, has hit 11.
And the thing about this, folks, is the game's not that easy, but Troy makes it look easy because he has immense talent. What he was able to do on this last road trip is just phenomenal. And what he was able to do in New York specifically. 10 for 16 there, had the home runs, the RBIs, home runs in 4 consecutive ball games there. And I know Citi Field hasn't been around that long, but he's a guy that has hit there nobody else had. But he also makes plays defensively. In the game in New York, when he makes his backhand play in the 7th inning to kind of kill that whole rally, that just shows you how good of a player he is, offensive, defensively. To me, he's the best player in the game right now.
You know what? I got a tweet because, you know, I'm on Twitter now. Yeah, I'm an expert on all that now. And it was great. Somebody tweeted me and he said, yeah, he goes, he's not a Coors Field creation. He's a Citi Field creation. LOL. Chris Ionetta and the gang getting ready to go. It's Jackie Robinson Day around baseball. Rockies and Cubs. Come on back to 20th and Blake with us. Five, four, three, two, one. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by. Have a good show. You. Is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By the Ford Fusion with quality power and economy. We speak value. Ford Fusion. Drive one. By Sonic, America's drive-in. It's new, it's better, it's the new Sonic. Good. By the Courtyard by Marriott on the 16th Street Mall. Ask about our hometown sports package. And by Southwest Airlines, new Rapid Rewards, unlimited reward seats, and no blackout dates. Well, the Rockies return home after a 7-1 road trip, one of their best road trips ever, and it's the best road start in team history. It's the best overall start in team history. And as we mentioned earlier, it never gets old to say the Rockies have the best record in baseball at 10-2, unbeaten in regulation. Their only 2 losses, keep in mind, came in extra inning affairs. Opening day 7-6 to Arizona, 4-3 and 14 to Pittsburgh. Southwest lineup. As written out earlier this afternoon by the skipper Jim Tracy, the skipper for the Cubs would be Mike Quade, Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney. They've been terrific hitting at the top of the lineup. Marlon Byrd's off to a very good start, an all-star last year. Aramis Ramirez, very dangerous. Carlos Pena comes from Tampa. Alfonso Soriano's got 4 home runs in the early going. Tyler Colvin, a former #1, former Rookie of the Year in 2008. Giovanni Soto, and also a former Ray, Matt Garza, won 15 ball games last year. And looking to go 3-0 is Jhoulys Chacín.
Yeah, 25th start of his major league career, and the thing that he's been able to do so far this year is really get some ground ball outs. Almost a 2-to-1 ratio as far as ground balls to strikeouts. 29 ground balls, 13 flyouts. And so far, he really hasn't had that good fastball command, but he's been able to stay in the ball game long enough to give his ball club a chance to win, and that's all you ask of for a starting pitcher.
He gets traffic outs, too.
Yes.
The league so far this year, 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. This guy could flat out play. Youngest player in the big league, Starlin Castro. He's 21. And he hit 300 a year ago and well over 400 at bats after being called up from AA Tennessee. Good looking young player.
Yeah, and right now he leads the major leagues with 21 hits.
And the 0-1, a comebacker. Nice start. And Starlin Castro's retired. That's been hard to do. He was hitting well over 500 leading off. Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively. In the outfield, Carr goes in left, Dexter Fowler in center, and Seth Smith in right. Jose Lopez is playing third base, Tulowitzki and Herrera up the middle. Todd Helton's at first, and Chris Iannetta doing the catching. Here's Darwin Barney, and he takes a strike on the outside corner, barking it out. I like how he calls balls and strikes already. Is Vic Carapazza. He's a young umpire.
This will be our first look at him.
Yep, we have not seen him before. Up from the minor leagues. The 0-1, and that a tad bit high. Barney's kind of forced his way into the starting lineup for Mike Quade. Product of Oregon State University. I was talking to hitting coach Rudy Jaramillo about him, and I said, what do you like about him? And he said he's just a winner. And you know who else said that? Bob Brenly, who's a former big league manager, a colleague of ours on the WGN side. Everywhere he's gone, he's won state championship in Portland, Oregon as a high school player, and 2 playing for the Beavers.
Back in 07, they won the College World Series. And at least gets him on that strikeout. That's nice to see. 93 miles an hour after a couple big breaking pitches to be able to come inside on him and get the 2 guys that have really set the table for the Cubs, both Castro and Barney, out. Because that's been one of their areas that the Cubs have been pretty good at early in the ball game, is getting early runs on the board because of those guys.
Yeah, the first 4 in their lineup, Huey, all hitting above 320.
Kind of drops off after that, though.
It does. Here's Marlon Byrd. Boy, if he can paint like that, it's going to be a long night for the Cubs.
It just goes back to that fastball command, and you can say that about any pitcher at the big league level almost.
55 degrees, the game time temperature. It feels much cooler than that. It's a disappearing slider. It's 0-2 because the wind, especially during batting practice, Huey, it was howling. I had to put weights in the pocket.
It was blowing in straight from left field, kind of quartering maybe over to the right field foul pole, but it was a biting wind.
Here's the 0-2 off the end of the bat. Todd Helton gloves it. You cannot have a finer start than that for Jhoulys Chacín. 8-pitch first inning. We'll see the Rockies at the bat rack next. To the bottom of the first inning, Dexter Fowler will lead things off for the Rockies. He had a fine road trip. He's hitting a solid .280 with 5 RBIs in the early going, and in his career he's torn up the Cubs, so .371 batting average. Here's the Southwest batting order for Jim Tracy this afternoon, or actually this evening. Johnny Herrera will follow. Johnny's been off the charts. Carlos Gonzalez next, and Tulowitzki. Helt, Seth Smith, Jose Lopez playing third, batting 7th, and then Chris Iannetta and Yolis Chacin. Matt Garza's on the hill. The former Tampa Ray will make his 3rd start, and it's been either a hit or a strikeout in his first 2, it seems like.
Yeah, he's got 20 strikeouts and 20 hits in that. And really the interesting thing about that, in his first game, he gave up 12 hits, struck out 12. In his second game, guess what he did? 8 strikeouts, 8 hits. And that's kind of what Matt Garza's been right now. A little bit of a hit or miss, and a lot of hits happening against him.
So Dexter steps up. Ramirez shortens up at third. Same deal at first with Carlos Pena.
Kind of tough to bunt against both of those guys. Very good fielders.
And fastball misses, ball 1. One thing about Garza that's been different from years past. Again, a 15-game winner last year. Garza is a guy with a good arm. He averages better than 93 miles an hour on his fastball, and that's in there 1-1. Last year, he threw his fastball almost 72% of the time. This year, 58%. That's odd.
Well, and the other thing, but the reason is because it's not as hard as it used to be. It used to be a 93 to 96 mile an hour fastball, and he would sit about 94. Now he's sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to 92, so maybe that leads him to say, I need to throw more breaking pitches.
Here's the 1-2. Though he did say after his last start, I've got to get back to establishing my fastball and throwing off my fastball. We'll see if he does tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Dexter, who hit .333 on the road trip. Rockies home for 6 ball games, and that's a good pitch. That's a hard slider down and in. That gives Dexter fits. And Fowler's retired. Let's take a look at the Cubs defensively. They're not a good defensive team. I don't know how he's done it, but Alfonso Soriano has already committed 3 errors out in left field. Marlon Byrd's at center, Tyler Colvin in right, Ramirez and Castro on the left side, Barney and Pena on the right side. Pena's always been a pretty good defensive first baseman, and Giovanni Soto. I understand we've had some audio issues. We apologize. Everybody working diligently to correct those. 1-0 on Johnny Herrera. Big fly.
That was a big fly in Citi Field.
It was a big fly. You hit it out of Citi Field. It is a legit big fly. He had a 3-run home run in the game yesterday. We're sitting down the right field line because unfortunately we couldn't televise the ball games yesterday. Johnny hit that ball. I'm sitting with Ken Miller, our executive producer, and I said, you got to be kidding me. He crushed that.
You know, it kind of reminded me of that ball he hit against the wind down in Florida last year.
Yeah.
Late in the ball game. I think it was the 8th inning or so in Florida last year. Same thing in right center. This one he pulled a little bit more and probably had a higher trajectory.
I was talking to my number 2 son at home, Zach, and he reminded me, he said, Dad, that's like Florida last year. You just don't expect it with Johnny, who doesn't hit the ball out in batting practice. Garza covers, 2 outs. So that'll bring up Cargo. He's another guy that's torn up Cub pitching in his career. Rockies have won the season series from Chicago each of the last 2 seasons. And they've dominated the Cubs here at Coors Field of late. Fastball missed. Cargo hit his first bomb of the year. It came in game 1 yesterday against the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey. Right down the line. It got out in a nanosecond. And he said afterward, thank goodness, after the doubleheader, I hit one out before Herrera. He said I would have taken a bus back home because he would have worn me out for the 4 hours on the flight that he had more home runs than me.
Both of those were shots, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Carlos, when he went down and got that knuckleball below his knee, and that was like a 2-iron off the tee box. That ball just exploded.
Here's the 2-0. And Garza misses. It's 3-0. Of course, Johnny Herrera and Carlos Gonzalez have known each other since they were about 5 years old. Grew up playing Little League together in Maracaibo, Venezuela. Cargo called him his grandfather because Johnny's a year older. 3-1 with Tulowitzki on deck. 2 outs and nobody on in the first.
You just know it's nice having both those guys on your team, though.
You bet.
Garza's already come inside a little bit more than any time that he did against the Brewers. I was watching that game on the internet, and he was, everything to the Brewers was away. I think that's why he said tonight, I got to go back to throwing that fastball, and I got to use that inside part of the plate.
Here's the 3-2. And he got him, took something off. Good pitch by Garza. 1-2-3 start for Matt Garza. No scores. We go to the second.
You know what? I came over here by the left field foul pole as close as I could possibly get to see if this thing could help me block some of the wind, and I have batting gloves on too because it's very cold. I got them from the clubhouse. Jonathan Herrera, you guys were just talking about the first home run he hit this season. Well, the ball is in his locker with a little bit of an inscription on it of what he was able to do yesterday. And you were talking about Carlos Gonzalez giving him grief. Well, Jonathan Herrera told me that he was giving Cargo some grief about the fact that, you know what, now we're tied in the home run total category. Kind of funny when you consider Jonathan Herrera doesn't hit many home runs, and Carlos Gonzalez certainly does. Base hit to left. And then, you know what, he was also saying, thank goodness, Carlos Gonzalez was saying to Jonathan Herrera, thank goodness I hit my home run before he hit his, because I would have rather have walked back than listened to him the whole way. These guys absolutely love each other. It's been well documented. They're great friends. Nobody was more happy for Jonathan Herrera hitting that home run than Carlos Gonzalez. But a memento for Johnny Herrera, guys.
That is a memento. And it'll be quite a story if, you know, we're at the All-Star break and Johnny has as many home runs as Cargo.
Not happening.
No, that's probably not happening. Base hit by Ramirez. He hit that hard. Troy couldn't knock it down. Carlos Pena at the plate. And a strike on Pena. Pena's kind of one of those old-time hitters. When I say old-time hitters, back in the 70s, guys like Dave Kingman, Rob Deere, who was either a punch-out or a bomb.
I was thinking Rob Deere. I mean, the typical
Swing for the fences in case you hit it out. You do. If not, you're going to be dragging the bat back to the dugout.
Yeah, they're not going to hit for much average.
Well, that just kind of shows you right there, Carlos Pena, where he's at with this swing. If he's thinking about as a guy they brought over to hit home runs, drive-in runs, to lay down a bunt for a base hit in the second inning.
Just missed 2-1. You know, Pena last year, he led Tampa in home runs with 28, but he only hit 196.
He tried to pull everything, got into that pull happy mode. And that's kind of the reason why the Rockies have the shift on like they do right now.
That's off the plate, evidently 3-1.
And Jonathan Herrera way over in the hole. Troy's up the middle, and he'll probably even scoot over a couple more steps to his left before this pitch is being delivered.
Three and two. Cubs really don't have a ton of speed. Soriano doesn't run like he once did. Castro's okay. Barney's okay.
Well, Castro's the only one that has any stolen bases on the team. He has 2. I mean, they just don't attempt very many as well.
This time, obviously, Soriano could fly. Three and two on Pena.
Kind of get an early look at Mike Quade and his strategy and what he feels about his ball club with the 3-2 count. Pena up. If he puts Ramirez in motion to try to stay out of the double play.
That's dangerous the way he strikes
I
out.
agree, but let's see how he plays it.
He's not going. He's fouled off. Rockies yesterday before the ball game made a roster move. Perhaps you read about it in the paper today. Alan Johnson was brought up yesterday, available in case the Rockies needed some length. Greg Reynolds was sent back out to AAA despite pitching well in his first 2 ball games. Obviously, coming off the disabled list will be a guy by the name of Ubaldo Jimenez on Sunday, and Aaron Cook was moved from the 15-day to the 60-day. There's Alan Johnson. You may see him on Sunday. Whoa, man, that got Jerry Lane, first base umpire.
Right in the ankle.
Scott Garrett out to take a look at him.
That ball was hit hard, too.
It's hard to see. We'll have to wait for the replay to see where it hit him. Now, you know, when you're working the plate, they wear the steel shoes. Now, out on the field, they don't.
No.
Out on the bases.
The ball's hooking, too. He just can't get out of the way. It's his right ankle.
There's our group tonight. Jerry Lane is the crew chief. Might have to go with a 3-man crew tonight. He's trying to walk it off. You got to be able to move. That's the thing.
Right.
And Jerry's aware of that as a veteran umpire. And if you got to play out in right field, he's got to be able to.
Well, even if you think about, hey, could he slide over to the second base umpire? Well, he still has to move there around the bag or go out to see if a ball was possibly caught in the outfield. So you still have to run, even playing second base.
He's going to go down underneath. They'll work a three-man crew, and we'll see if Jerry's able to return.
Well, now the umpires at first and third have to also talk a little bit and communicate, because it's been a while for a lot of these guys since they've worked a three-man crew.
The guy who's probably most familiar with it's the guy behind the plate.
Right. The young guy.
Carapazza, because in the minor leagues, you work a lot of three-man crews.
Looks like
Bob Davidson lives in the Denver metropolitan area. And now moving over to second, at least in this alignment, is Hunter Wendelstedt.
Yeah, so now there's nobody.
So you get a check swing here. There's no, you can't.
Well, you appeal to Hunter Wendelstedt out at second base. So check swings now for a lefty is going to be very difficult to read.
3-2's the count. Nobody out. And swung on and missed. Nice job by Chacin keeping his focus.
Composure after a time, probably about 5 seconds or 5 minutes there, excuse me, that he had to wait around to see what was going to happen.
As we do every ball game, later on the sixth inning will be the top of the sixth inning tonight. Toyota Talk. Text your thoughts on tonight's ball game, the matchup with the Cubs. If all the Cubs fans get under your skin when they come out to Coors Field. And the way to do it is text Toyota followed by a space and then your thoughts to 720-720. Do it in the post game as well. Soriano's at the plate. He takes ball one. Hitting .250 with 4 home runs in the early going. He's driven in 10. 3 of the 4 home runs came in the opening week. Cubs have had pretty good weather in Chicago. Their attendance is down, though. Last year a tough year. Last couple of years tough years. This ball is a base hit to left. And now 2 are aboard for Tyler Colvin. Soriano's always swung the bat well here, hasn't he?
He just likes that ball inside on him. Inside down just a little bit. And Tyler Colvin, another one of those young guys that have been struggling for the Cubs, hitting 147. They're hitting over 250 for him last year. 0 for 8 so far in this young season with runners in scoring position.
Colvin's a former #1, 2006, 13th pick in the draft. Double play ball. Down 4-6-3 on the turn. And despite a couple of hits, not a problem for Jhoulys Chacin in the second. No score at Coors Field. Tulowitzki been since September 1 of last year. 42 ball games, 319 batting average, 22 home runs, 54 driven in. He scores 40 runs. He's also walked 23 times. It's silly. I mean, guys get hot. They throw hits out there and sprinkle in some home runs. Guys who have some pop. To hit 22 home runs when the next best over that span is Jason Worth in the National League with 11, or Nelson Cruz in the American League, who has 14. So he's got 8 more than Cruz in the same time period. Also, Jose Batista hit 14 during that time frame. Gaudy numbers. And he arrived in New York hitting 220.
And then go hit 4 home runs in 4 ball games in a place that is so difficult to do. And there was no doubt about any of them. I think that, to me, the most impressive one, though, Drew, was the one the other night in the fog down the right field line, ball away from him. He stays on it and drives it out to right field.
Yeah, it was a pitch, quite frankly, it was probably off the plate.
Yeah, but he was able to cover it. That's the thing for me. Cover it and hit it out there.
Strong man. One and one. In fact, no player, net or visitor, had ever hit a home run in 4 straight games at Citi Field.
Yeah, the most it had ever been was 3.
Gargo's got 34 runs. He's next on that list. That's high, 2 and 1.
Well, what you see is just like that last pitch from Garza, though. Breaking pitch is not even close to the zone. So he's always getting into those hitters' counts. Remember, early in the season, it seemed like every time he went up there it was 0-1, 0-2.
Yep. He started out 0 for 9. And a base hit to left. Tulowitzki, 10 for 16 in the Mets series. He's 1 for 1 in the Cubs series. First base runner for the Rockies. Here comes Helt, who's also quietly swinging the bat very well. Maybe not Tulowitzki's league. I don't think anybody's in his league right now. Todd threw out 3 hits in game 2 of the doubleheader yesterday.
Yeah, and I think 345 for batting average is quietly going about your business. And that's even after missing a few games on that road trip with the bad back.
Yeah, I'm sure there were whispers, you know, with fans, oh man, here we go again. And he answered that. I mean, it was legit. I mean, he injured his back. When I say injured his back, he tweaked his back. But he said it's nothing like last year.
Well, what answered it for me is when he was able to play in that night game when it was raining and the field was suspect, just to be able to go out there then.
2-0.
Because if it's really a bad thing or something you think that's going to linger, he's not going to play in that game. You don't want to risk the injury.
Three 3-0 on Helt. And the road trip numbers were terrific. Again, the at-bats were down, as Huey was talking about, because he missed some ball games, but he had 400. Swinging 3-0.
I like that.
Exactly. That's where he is offensively. There were road trips last year. You could have added up everybody's batting average. You wouldn't have come up to 400.
No, or how many times would you see guys be able to swing 3-0? It wouldn't have happened. Troy might take off here.
Not going, pulled in the hole. Base hit for Helt. First and second, nobody out. Bring up another guy. He's swinging the bat well. Seth Smith.
Well, you don't come off the road trip 7-1 without a lot of guys swinging the bat well. Todd Helton, the head in the count 3-1, is able to turn on a fastball down and in. The Ultimo, watch the head discipline. To me, that is the whole key to Todd's swing. Whenever he keeps that head down on the baseball, right off the glove of Pena, did not allow Troy to get to third just because of the arm out right with Colvin.
Inside on Seth Smith.
A much different inning for Matt Garza than what we saw in the first. He was able to throw in the first inning, that slider, some change-ups. Now he has not been able to get a breaking pitch over for a strike here.
And he misses with the heater away, 2-0. I keep looking at that fastball, and you're right. For a guy that last 2 years averaged exactly 93.3 miles an hour on his fastball. So he's working 92 to 95. That's his work zone. And tonight he's been 89, 91.
And that makes a huge difference for a pitcher psychologically, and also for the hitters on the other side. They're licking their chops right now saying, okay, great.
Here comes his former teammate in Tampa. I should say his former teammate, his current teammate in Chicago, and his teammate in Tampa. He's a leader, Carlos Pena.
And that's part of the reason why they brought him over there. Hopefully, for one, he could resurrect his swing a little bit, but two, his leadership ability.
3-0 on Smith, and that's in there. Two on and nobody out. Smith pulls it foul. Hey, don't miss a moment of Rockies baseball. Root Sports brings you double play tomorrow at 5. It's all the highlights in just 30 minutes, and then we'll roll you right into our pregame show, and then game 2 of this 3-game set for the best of your favorite team. Turn to double play 1 hour before the first pitch. 3-2 on Smith. Does he go to the changeup here, the pitch that he got Cargo with?
I think he will.
He went heater and he missed. And the bases are juiced for Jose Lopez.
Jose Lopez in his career against Matt Garza, 6 for 18. Part of the reason why he is in the lineup tonight, because of his history of success against him.
Showing patience. He got a slider and it missed. It's 1-0. Bases loaded, nobody out. Lopez takes a fastball at 89 for a strike. There's a couple of grand slams in his career. Almost a 400 average. You got to like that.
Yep.
Ball and 2 strikes. Your windshield has issues, make sure you call Safelite Auto Glass at 303-287-5000 or go to safelight.com. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson, Alana Rizzo. Rockies opening up a 6-game homestand, 3 against the Cubs, and then the world champion Giants will be in town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. And Lopez, who's tough to strike out, goes down there. And now Chris Iannetta comes up.
Oh, behind the count 1-2. Garza goes to the hard slider. Fingers are together to get a little bit more snap on the baseball. And he put it right where he wanted to. Lopez was reaching for it.
3rd strikeout for Garza. Chris Iannetta realizes he has the pitcher on deck. Garza realizes that. Garza's saying, man, I can get out of this thing. Maybe not. Drive to center field and deep. Bird can't get it. Everybody had to hold up. Tulowitzki will come home. Helton will come home. Great base running Seth Smith. He's going to score. Wild throw into the dugout. Iannetta will score. It's a Little League home run. Wow. A Little League granny, if you will. It's 4-0 Colorado. Bird semi-misjudged it, and everybody scores. And Mike Quade looking on saying, are you kidding me?
Well, he did exactly what he did with Lopez. Tried to throw the slider to Iannetta, but he gets more of the plate than he did with Lopez. Chris stays on it, hits it over the head of Bird. Goes right off the end of his glove, and then he had a little bit of trouble picking it up. You can see from the ultra mode just how close he was to catching that. And I think you're right, Drew. He didn't quite get it, but then the throw from Castro was way off the mark and goes into the dugout for an error.
So it's a triple 3 RBIs for Iannetta and an error on Castro. Chris Iannetta has his first ribby since April the 5th. That's huge because, again, Garza's out there going, man, I struck out Lopez, and now I've got Iannetta in the 8-hole. If I could get a punch out here or a ball on the ground.
Possible double play.
Possible double play. You have the pitcher on deck. He's thinking, I can get out of a bases loaded, nobody out situation.
But no.
Instead, everybody scored.
Yeah, Chris made him pay, and that's what you have to do.
Bouncing ball to second.
Kind of equated to yesterday's ball game in New York when De La Rosa hits the ground ball to their second baseman. He bobbles it. He's only able to get one run. Next thing you know, the Rockies throw up a 5 spot on him. And that's what you have to do to beat those clubs.
Absolutely, Jeff. You and I were talking earlier about that, and you can look in and Sennick can say, well, you know, the Mets didn't play good defense. Good teams take advantage of bad baseball.
You have to, because everything is so level here at the major league level that if one team makes a little boo-boo, then you have to be able to capitalize on it.
And that ball that Iannetta hit was scalded.
Well, and that's why I think Bird misjudged it, because of the wind. We've talked about that a little bit. And the way sometimes if you keep it low enough, that it'll have that backspin on it where it'll carry just a little bit more instead of float out there. And that's why he didn't judge it as well as he did.
How about Seth Smith? Because Smith evidently got a really good read on this.
One more look at Chris's swing, and I think this will just show you the strength of Chris, because he stays through that baseball and follows that path of the bat through the zone a long time. But you're right, Seth Smith was almost at second base. I was kind of watching him and the fly of the ball at the same time, and he did it perfectly, because if he catches it, he just goes back to first base.
Smart base running, because he gave himself an opportunity to score if the ball eluded Bird, which it did. This ball down the left field line, it's going to be fair in the corner. Soriano will play Chase, and it's a double for Fowler. Again, let's go back as Mark Riggins comes out, the pitching coach, to talk to Matt Garza. Let's go back. The ball has already been struck. Iannetta's moving to first. You can see Helton goes halfway. Tulowitzki's doing the right thing. He's tagging. And Smith right at second base. Ball eludes him. Now he picks up full steam, and he's going to score.
Well, the good thing about this is, number one, Todd did what he's supposed to do. With one out, you go halfway to see what's going to happen. But Seth realizes if something happens, Bert catches that ball, they're not going to worry about Seth Smith. They're going to worry about keeping Todd from going to third base. So he knows I can get all the way to second, maybe even a couple steps around it, retrace my steps if he catches it and gets back there. But instead, they miss it. He scores easily.
Everybody on the base pass did exactly textbook what you should do. Johnny Herrera takes the ball. It's a good teaching point, because sometimes at younger ages, kids say, oh, that ball's crushed, and it's nobody out or one out, and they just start walking home, jogging home. Well, if a guy makes a circus catch, you got to come all the way back, then maybe you don't score. Tag.
Right, and that's what Troy did. He went back and tagged just like he's supposed to. If he catches it, he trots home. He's able to go home. If it goes over his head, does the same thing.
Yeah.
But how many times do you see that kid will run halfway home, and then, oh, he makes a catch, got to go back, and by that time you don't score.
Yep. 2-0 on Herrera. RBI out there for Johnny. We should say 2 RBIs out there because Johnny likes to just go yard a lot.
You know what?
Score himself.
Yeah, I know that. But Johnny's swing is line to line, put the bat on the ball, take his walks when he has to.
Three and one. That's where Johnny's so good. He's abundantly aware always of game situation. He knows he has cargo on deck. He's going to force a quality strike.
And even then, he might not swing at it.
Yeah, you're right on the money, Huey. He has no problem hitting with 2 strikes.
He's like David Eckstein to me. Is that they don't care if there's 2 strikes on him.
Outside, 2 on now, and here comes Carlos Gonzalez. I know he hasn't been around long, but he's one of the smartest players in the National League, Johnny Herrera.
I agree with that completely because he understands his role, and that's why he's worked his way into the lineup. I'm just looking up at Garza's stats right now. 50 pitches already in the ball game. His first 2 starts, he threw 106 and 107.
Rockies have hit around here in the second, and they may not be done. Want to know on Gonzalez. Think about this run. He hasn't even gotten hot yet this year. Look out when he does. This ball chopped to second base. In the inning, the Rockies get 4 runs. Chris Iannetta clears the bases with a 3-run triple, and then on the errant throw by Starlin Castro, he comes home as well. Deep in the hole. No, it's cut off there by Lopez. Well done. As he takes a potential hit away from Giovanni Soto. 1 pitch, 1 out. Let's go back to June 30th, 2010. The Rockies were taking on the Chicago Cubs. And this was amazing. I've never seen anything like this before in any game at any level, I don't think. 8th inning, the Rockies had 13 hits, 12 runs. Just bullet after bullet. It was ridiculous.
I don't remember a cheap hit among them.
Pitcher Garza's up there. Cubs have lost 5 straight here at 20th and Blake. 9 of their last 11. Cubs had yesterday off. They've been in town since late Wednesday night. They played Houston and took 2 of 3 down in Houston. This is the third stop on a 10-game road trip for Mike Quaddy's team. Actually, 9-game road trip. 10-day 9-gamer.
They've not been above 500 yet on the season.
Rockies landed at midnight last night. And Garza's retired. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Starlin Castro with nobody aboard. Here's Mike Quaddy's staff. Remember, he managed the last 37 games last year. Did well, 24-13, and a bit of a surprise that he ended up getting the job. Without his work last year, he doesn't get it. Pat Listash sits next to him on the bench. Mark Riggins, Rudy Jaramillo, who's a tremendous hitting coach. Ivan De Jesus, his son's playing for the Dodgers. He's the third base coach. Bobby Dernier, he could hit and run a little bit, former Cub at first base.
Lester Strode out in the bullpen.
Yeah. Castro hit a comebacker his first time. Fastball misses, ball 1. Everybody thought in Chicago, and this is one of your old clubs, Huey, that it was going to be Ryne Sandberg, a Hall of Famer.
Was it going to be an easy choice if you took Ryne?
He was managing in AAA in Iowa.
And I think he would have got the job if Quaddy hadn't done such a marvelous job when he took over from Lou Piniella and really kind of righted the ship there for a while.
They were going to lose 95-plus games.
Maybe even 100.
Maybe even 100 before Quaddy took over. And they had one of the best records really in the game the final 5 weeks of the season.
Well, and the other thing, too, for Quaddy, as he put in his time down in the minor leagues, it wasn't like he had only been down there 4 or 5 years. Here's a guy that managed a number of years down there, was also a big league coach with the Oakland Athletics. So he earned the right to manage at this level. Ryne Sandberg's over AAA managing for the Philadelphia Phillies.
1-2, and easy play for Tulowitzki. Helton pulls the foot off the bag quickly.
Good thing Troy's got a strong arm.
Troy's got a great arm. Little bobble. Castro runs pretty well, but a 1-2-3 third for Yoeli Chacín. Rockies leading 4-0.
Inning. I'm joined now by Jim Brennan of Greeley. And Jim, we talk about all the time on TV why we think the Rockies are off to a 10-2 start. But from a fan's perspective, what are you noticing?
I think it's the leadership. They've been winning games over the last few years. Now they know how to win. I think Tulowitzki and Gonzalez are huge, and Helton are a huge factor in why they're winning right now. And I think they just know how to win now. And
no question. And Troy Tulowitzki at the plate right now. So, Jim, hopefully he hits another long ball for you out of the park over here in center field where we're standing. Back to you guys.
All right, Alana, thanks much. 1 ball, 1 strike on Troy. Had a line single to left that started The Rockies' 4-run rally last inning. Two and one. Tulowitzki led off with a single. Helton followed with a single. Smith walked after a Lopez strikeout. Iannetta tripled in 3 and scored on a bad throw by Starlin Castro. This is slowly hit. Ramirez will get Troy by a step. Rockies well on their way. If they score 7 or more tonight, go to Taco Bell tomorrow between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies Tacos special, only from Taco Bell. Todd Helton coming up. Rockies have a couple extra base hits in this ball game. The triple by Iannetta, double by Fowler. You realize they have at least 2 extra base hits in every ball game this year, all 13. Pretty good stuff.
Well, that's why I've seen the Cubs outfielders move back a little bit now. Try to cut off some of those balls.
1-1 on Helton. Berg's playing a very deep center field.
He wasn't playing that deep when Iannetta hit the ball.
And Soriano, who it's hard for us to tell here. It looks like the wind's blowing in, and Soriano always plays with his back nearly against the wall. Even, I mean, he's in the opposite field right now.
But some of that's where he plays in Chicago because of that. He plays deep at Wrigley Field.
And I still think it goes back to the fact that he grew up as a second baseman, and especially initially, he wasn't comfortable out there. Remember, he balked at going to the outfield. 3-1 on Helton. And this ball toward the gap in left center. Can Berg get there? Yep.
Now we know why he moved back.
And you know what? If he's not playing deep, he's got no chance at that ball. That was hit extremely hard by Todd.
Well, and the other thing, too, is he's on the first base side of second base. So he's onto the pull side, and Todd hit that into the opposite gap, and Berg got a great jump on and was able to track it down.
Smith walked his first time up. For 2/5 of this rotation for the Cubs on the disabled list. Andrew Cashner and Randy Wells.
Yeah, Cashner with the shoulder, Randy Wells with the forearm. And the thing about it, too, is those two guys, now they're going to be shut down for a couple weeks. Well, it's going to take them 4 weeks at least to get back.
You're not going to see them for a while.
No, and think about it, they got rid of Carlos Silva at the end of spring training. They had a couple other guys just say, no, Braden Looper said, I'm done, I'm going to quit. So
they've gone out and signed Doug Davis.
And Ramon Ortiz.
And Ramon Ortiz. And Ortiz threw the ball well in Iowa the other day. He may be coming up soon. Good inning for Garza. We'll go to the 4th, 4-0 Colorado. tonight's Fast Cash Sideline Report brought to you by Fast Cash Gold Centers, where you'll always get 40% more for your gold. Alana?
All right, guys, thanks very much. Carlos Gonzalez has 23 putouts in 24 total chances. And Jim Tracy has said over and over again that some of the plays he's making in the outfield, no left fielder in the game can do. I talked to Carlos earlier today about exactly how he's able to get to so many balls.
It's all about preparation and during batting practice whenever we're playing in a different stadium. Just try to make sure we're, how the ball looks coming off the bat, and, because the stands or the crowd is going to make it a little bit difficult for us, but we're all prepared for that, and that takes time during batting practice, and that's why I get really good jumps in the game.
And guys, one thing he told me that he doesn't necessarily have to work on, of course he's working on the footwork and the positioning and that type of stuff, but his arm strength, he said, you know what, that is just a gift. And what a gift it is, guys.
There's nothing he can't do on a baseball field. I've never seen a left fielder, Huey, if you impact a game more than he has.
I think about that throw the other night to get Pagan at second base.
1-2 on Barney, and he's gone. Second time he's been a strikeout victim. That's number 4 tonight for Yolis Chacín, who's allowed 2 singles. Everybody in baseball wearing number 42. It's the 14th straight year on April 15th that it's Jackie Robinson Day throughout Major League Baseball, honoring one of the most courageous figures in American history. Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier April 15th, 1947. Some things you may not know about Jackie Robinson. He was a great star at UCLA in 4 sports, but really to say he was a star in baseball is a misnomer. He was an All-American in football. Slowly hit, Tula bobbles, and still is able to get Marlon Byrd.
There's 2 bobbles tonight, but make it up with the strong arm.
Doesn't matter. It says 6-3 in my book.
Well, you come and charge and try to get the baseball, but if he would have sat back on this, then even with the bobble, he wouldn't have been able to get Byrd.
So he was an All-American in football. He was the national champion in the long jump in track, jumped 25 feet 6.5 inches. He was the leading scorer. It's base hit's going to sneak through the right side. He was the leading scorer. Was it the Pac-6 back then? I think it was the Pac-6 back then, the Pacific Coast Conference. He was the leading scorer in basketball 2 straight years. He only had 2 hits. He played 1 year of baseball because he transferred from a junior college. He only had 2 hits in his 1 year playing baseball at UCLA. So to think that he'd go on to become a Hall of Fame baseball player, you'd say, well, maybe football.
It just shows you the vision that Branch Rickey had to sign him.
I'll tell you something else about Jackie Robinson you may not know. Carlos Pena at the plate. Jackie Robinson's brother, Mac, was the runner-up. See, Jackie had great speed. The runner-up to Jesse Owens in the 1936 100-meter dash in Berlin. With Adolf Hitler looking on. Owens finished first. Mac Robinson, Jackie's brother, finished second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pena struck out his first time up.
I kind of find it one of those stats that Jackie Robinson stole home 19 times.
How about that? Especially in an era where, I mean, 1 year he had 29 stolen bases, and that was, I mean, the next guy had like 14. Guys just didn't steal bases back then.
The other fact I thought was interesting studying Jackie today was he was the first Major League Baseball player to appear on a U.S. postage stamp back in 1982.
Is that right?
Yep.
Shift on for Pena, 2 outs. And he's going to beat the shift. That's a base hit. Ramirez is a station-to-station runner. And he stops at second base. Let's take a look at our Geico quote of the day. There's Rafael Soriano coming up. Jackie Robinson, baseball is like a poker game. Nobody wants to quit when he's losing. Nobody wants you to quit when you're ahead.
Jackie also paved the way for Larry Doby to break into the American League.
Broke in with Cleveland. He broke the color barrier in the American League, Huey, as you mentioned. And Branch Rickey, when he privately talked to Jackie Robinson, he said, you're going to have to, you're going to deal with a lot of things. And he said, you don't want me to fight back. He says, I want you to have the courage not to fight back. And this ball's in the dirt. If you think about it, of course, Martin Luther King, who championed nonviolent demonstration and ultimately was so successful in changing many things in the civil rights movement in the 60s. Jackie Robinson was doing it in 1947.
How about Pee Wee Reese also standing up for him and helping him along with the process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only a white guy, but a guy from the South. This ball is in the air to shallow left center field. And Dexter has it. The Cubs get a couple of hits with 2 outs. Not a problem for Chacín. Rockies have all the runs. It's 4-zip. Jose Lopez to lead it off. Energy high efficiency inning brought to you by Excel Energy. Learn how you too can be efficient when it comes to your energy and visit responsiblebynature.com. Chris Iannetta, bases clearing triple, and then Starlin Castro missed Aramis Ramirez by 15 feet. It's a Little League grand salami. Triple 3 RBIs, and on the air, Iannetta comes home. Jose Lopez didn't offer it the curveball. It's 1-0. Lopez got off to a fast start, 6 for his first 19, 4 ribbies. He's 1 for his last 20 since then. And another curveball. And again, this is where Garza's been pitching backwards this year. Different than what he did in Tampa.
Not a power pitcher anymore. To me, he's more of an off-speed to set up that fastball instead of vice versa.
And look at that, 2-0. He doesn't give in.
A slider.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the Matt Garza that you think about that was the ALCS MVP back in 08 against Boston. I remember him getting the baseball and just saying, here it is, boys, try to hit it.
It's not the Garza that we went and traded for. I know that. You know how rough a town Chicago can be. You played there.
Turn on you in a heartbeat.
And he's an emotional kid.
And that sometimes that works for him and against him. Things are going well. That's that kind of like Carlos Zambrano. To me, they're very similar in that nature. That you're very volatile. You're not sure what you're going to get.
3-2 on Lopez, leading off the fourth.
We struck him out with the slider back in the second inning. Tried to go to slider again. 3-2. That's a question. Does he throw the fastball or does he slider him again out of the zone?
Went slider again, and Ramirez will throw out Lopez.
And check out the new Camarena loft located in center field. It's available for groups of up to 127. It's a new feature here at Coors Field this year. Center field, or right center field, just a little bit. Call 303 Rockies for more information or go online to ColoradoRockies.com.
Pretty neat place to go catch the ball game. With
Olana was out there earlier this year, I remember.
126 of your closest friends.
I'd include you on that list.
I just made the cut, huh?
Yep. 125. Nope.
1-0 on Iannetta. Down low, 2-0. That big blow had to be a big boost for Chris's confidence. Got off to a fast start. That triple snapped. Well, actually, yesterday, I should say, he snapped an 0-4 slide.
And sometimes that's what it takes, is that little bloop down the right field line that he had in yesterday's ball game.
He was 1 for his previous 17 before that triple. And the 3-0's in there.
One thing he has been doing, though, is walking. His on-base percentage is .452 going into tonight's ball game. National leads are right up there, one behind the leader as far as walks. He has 10 on the season.
Check swing. It's huge. When you hit that 8 spot in the lineup, you did it in your career a little bit, Huey, and not as important in the American League, but in the National League, you're trying to get the pitcher out of the way.
You have to do it. You have to be able to get that lineup flipped over, and for nothing else, to have the leadoff hitter start off that next inning. Get on base to have that pitcher in this situation be able to bunch you to second.
Steal an extra run here and there, and spent so much time focusing on all the one-run games last year. The Rockies played 58 one-run games, more than any other team in baseball. They went 28-30.
Well, thinking back to this last road trip too, they went 4-1 on one-run ball games.
3-2 on Chris. And he chased a slider. Garza, that has been the predominant pitch for Matt Garza the last couple of innings. He's retired 6 in a row. Here comes Chacín. Check Toyota, followed by a space, and then your comments on tonight's matchup with the Chicago Cubs. And then 7-2-0, 7-2-0. We'll do it at the top of the 6th inning. We'll also do it in the post-game show, the Toyota post-game show. Yolis Chacín takes a strike, grounded to second his first time.
Garza's just kind of following his MO. 12 hits, 12 strikeouts first game, 8 hits, 8 strikeouts tonight, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's going to be a hit. Yolis Chacín with his first knock of 2011. Looked up on that board, 80 pitches for Garza here in the fourth. AT&T trivia question. Jackie Robinson's number has been retired throughout baseball. Who's the only other player to have his number retired throughout his sport? That's a great question. Our AT&T trivia question tonight.
That one has me stumped.
It has me stumped right now also. 1 strike on Fowler. That's the double down the left field line his last time up. Rockies have been in sole possession of first place the last 8 days. It's the longest stretch in first place, get this folks, since May of 1997. Soriano in left makes the catch. Chacín a hit. He's left at first. We move on to inning number 5. Rockies 4 and the Cubs nothing. Well, I love that song. When's Detroit's going to play Red Rocks? Did you get the date?
I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully soon.
They'll sell that place out.
I like their music.
For 4-0 Colorado. As we go to the 5th inning, Jhoulys Chacín has pitched very, very well. He's got 4 punch-outs in 4 innings. He's allowed 4 singles. Bottom third of the Cubs order. Cubs went 75 and 87 last year. Tyler Colvin up, and the Rockies will put a shift on with Colvin, just like Pena.
And Colvin, to me, hit the one ball that you at least needed with that double play ball back in the 2nd inning to get out of that little mini rally they had.
He's a strong kid. Colvin hit 20 home runs last year.
Filling in out in right field for Kosuke Fukudome, who might play in tomorrow's game. Had a strained hamstring, hurt it on trying to make a catch, sitting out.
Say he's doing well for Chicago. That's our old friend Jeff Baker. It's down the left field line, and it's going to go foul. Jeff Baker's hitting .500, 8 for 16 against lefties. He's not had many at bats against right-handed pitching. Good to see Bake playing well.
Playing a lot of different positions too. 3rd, 2nd, 1st.
Yeah. If your windshield has issues, call Safelite Auto Glass at 303-287-5000 or go to safelight.com. 0-2 on Tyler Colvin. Hit him to 4.63. Double play his first time up. Rockies up 4-0.
Chris wanted to try to elevate that last pitch on a fastball, and he at least kept shaking him off, wanted to throw the slider. Go inside with the fastball.
Fastball up. And Tulowitzki, or excuse me, Lopez, the only guy on the left side of the infield. Makes like a shortstop, which he once was. When he first arrived in the big leagues from Seattle, that's where he played. Shortstop.
Well, that's a good thing, because that's exactly where he was.
Giovanni Soto coming up. Let's give you an answer to that AT&T trivia question. Jackie Robinson's number has been retired throughout baseball, 14 years running now. Who's the only other player to have his number retired throughout his sport? It's the great one. That's going to be a base hit for Soto. Wayne Gretzky. Nobody can wear 99. Doug Marino thought of another number that has not been officially retired, but might as well be. Well, there's Dougie. Doug actually, so Doug did a little research. He came up with Dale Earnhardt. But you're saying some folks have been driving an 8-car in NASCAR?
How can they do that?
That doesn't seem
No.
right. Unless it was Dale Jr., but Dale Jr. wasn't driving that. Mark Martin drives the number 8. Now, I'm not up to speed.
No pun intended.
That's right. No pun intended. I enjoy NASCAR, but I don't follow it on a regular enough basis to realize that. So Mark Martin has a number 8 car. Thanks, Doug.
That number should be retired, though.
That number should be retired. Absolutely.
But you can see Gretzky 99.
You know, see, I look at that, and to me, Jackie Robinson, he affected everybody in this game. And obviously, people of color. And Gretzky was phenomenal, the greatest hockey player ever. And if the Kings wanted to retire it, Edmonton, obviously, if the Kings wanted to retire his jersey, even if the Rangers wanted to retire his jersey, okay,
sure, fair
enough. I mean, obviously the Avalanche, Ray Bourque played his entire career basically in Boston, but he won a cup finally here in Colorado. His number's retired, no problem with that. But why did the Avalanche have to retire in '99? Why did the Coyotes have to retire in '99? Well, he owned them
he owned
for a while.
Yeah, coached them.
The Dallas Stars.
Fair point. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Strike 3. Two. But you know what? Listen,
close
Matt,
enough.
I'm going to give you 3 strikes this time. I don't have any reason not to give you 3 strikes.
We'll get a good look on
3
the
and 1.
forward strike zone.
Yeah, 3 and 2.
Yeah, did catch the bottom of it. Now you see if they'll try to bunt him again. He squared around. He acted like he was going to pull back a moment ago and try to slash at it. But no.
And he tried. He wasn't successful. 2 outs. Those are the little things. If you're Mike Quade, Garza had that 1 inning. You got to start with 1 run. You get a bunt down, you get a base hit. Maybe you feel like you can get back in it. And now Starlin Castro comes up with Giovanni Soto still at first base. The little things.
Well, and especially with their leading hitter, Starlin Castro. He's the guy that leads the major leagues in base hits. Not necessarily RBIs for the Cubs.
Comebacker and a ground ball to Tulowitzki. And that's a strike. Chacín's command has been much better tonight.
And that was the difference in the first 2 ball games. He didn't have that fastball command.
We're saying number 8. We're messing up this NASCAR thing. I'm sorry to interrupt. Earnhardt wore number.
You know what? I got another text
3.
too.
And I apologize about that. Not 8. Lopez will go the short way. All the NASCAR folks are going to be hot at us. They should be.
Sorry, yes.
So we'll find out more about the 3 car. 4-0 Colorado. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. By the fast, reliable, secure, heavy-duty internet from Quest. By your neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota moving forward. By McDonald's from April 15th to the 18th. Buy McDonald's Egg McMuffin, Big Mac, or Quarter Pounder with cheese and get the same sandwich for free. I'm loving it. And by AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. Johnny Herrera at the plate for the Rockies in the bottom of the 5th inning. Colorado up 4-0. And Herrera fouls that pitch off. It's 0-2. Down and in, 1-2 on Herrera. A ground out and a walk for Johnny. Cargo and Tulowitzki to follow. The Mets have won 6 straight. They're 10-2, folks. Last April, they won 11 games the entire month. It's April 15th, and they've got 10 already. Down the third base line past Richie Dower in foul ground.
And that road trip also was their second best road trip ever at 7-1. They went 6-0 back in 07 at the end of the season. Remember, they went to San Diego, LA, swept those 6 games.
Two and two. Johnny being Johnny, getting himself back in the count. Matt Garza, 88 pitches in. This may be his last inning of work. I mean, he's pitched much better since that second inning, but that's going to be a base hit.
He just has to play every day. Plain and simple.
You just can't keep him out of the lineup. He does too many things.
And he's perfect in the number 2 spot because he's a switch hitter.
An ideal number 2 hitter. Carlos Gonzalez coming up. Carlos is 0 for 2. You know, once again tonight we've proved that we're not infallible. We do that on a regular basis. We completely messed that up. And for all you NASCAR fans out there, obviously Dale Earnhardt was number 3. And that has not been used since. Nor should it.
No. Where's Dougie?
Unless Junior.
Yeah.
Unless Junior
wants it. He was Junior at 88.
Dougie ran away and hit.
Yeah, he did.
That's bad info. 0-1 on Gonzalez. Outside. And if you have some numbers that you think in sports, not just in baseball, that universally should be retired if we're missing somebody, or maybe it's a team and a number that you can't believe so-and-so hasn't had his jersey retired, you could do that during Toyota Talk. Johnny back into first.
I'm just going to throw Todd Helton's number out whenever he decides to retire here for the Rockies. Number 17 is going to be.
I think that's probably going to be a done deal.
Yeah.
One and two.
Helton Burgers.
Here's Todd waiting to hit. 1 and 2. And swung on a miss. Cargo struggling a bit at the plate. He chased a changeup up and out of the zone.
Pretty good look from the Ultramo. The changeup, the way that Garza turned that over and ran away from Carlos, up and away out of the zone. There's still that fine line for Carlos as far as being aggressive and being overly aggressive. Swinging pitches out of the zone.
His chase factor, chasing pitches out of the zone, was high last year. And you look at that number and you say, boy, if he can define that strike zone a little bit more. He had 336 with a chase factor that's well above major league average. Jason pitches again out of the strike zone. That's the chase factor. And he's doing it early in the season this year. He'll turn it around, obviously. He's too good not to.
And that's where I also think that it helps having a guy like Troy hitting behind him. Because now if he does narrow that down a little bit, that strike zone, then all of a sudden, watch his runs go up. He's still going to drive in a lot of runs. Troy's going to have a lot of runs. Well, that equates to a lot of wins.
Rockies 10-2 without Cargo being hot yet. He's getting his hits. This is popped up. Garza able to jam Tulowitzki. That's the best fastball he's thrown tonight. 93. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Helton. Time for tonight's Quest High Speed Pitch, brought to you by the fast, reliable, secure, heavy-duty internet from Quest. Both pitchers have hit 94, so I must have missed that one by Garza because he hadn't hit anywhere close to 93 in a while till that pitch to Tulowitzki.
There was only one pitch at 94.
Helton a single and a line drive to left center field, deep left center field. It was run down by Marlon Byrd.
Now Byrd out in center field has moved over into that gap just a little bit over in left center field. Last time up he was in right center. But it goes back to the way they pitched Todd early. They fell behind 3-1. He pulled the ball to right field. So now they're going to pitch him away just a little bit more. Byrd is cheating over that way. Pitching to the strength of your defense. There it goes right there. That's our first appeal.
Went down to third. Richie Dower said no swing.
No swing. But it's just a natural reaction for the catcher to point down there, and that's what Soto did. But then they had to adjust and look out towards second.
3-0 on Helton with Smith on deck.
Jim Tracy turned him loose earlier in the ball game when he was ahead 3-0. He'll do it again here.
Helton taking. And the reason there's a 3-man crew, early in this ballgame, Carlos Pena pulled a ball that Jerry Lane tried to hop out of the way, and it got him in the ankle. And after a couple of minutes, Jerry got up and limped off under his own power. But with Jerry down, a 3-man crew. Runner going, and it's fouled back. Johnny will come back. Such a great student because Johnny's not a blazer. You know, a lot of times you look at a little guy and go, oh, he must be fast. Johnny's not slow, but he's not a blazer. Johnny the other day, just on a scouting report, stole second and third on successive pitches.
And if you would ask anybody who leads the team right now in stolen bases, they wouldn't say Johnny, but he does. He has 4 stolen bases. Has not been caught yet.
Get it cranked up here. 3-2 with 2 outs. And Helton drives this ball left center field. Bird's not going to get there. And are they going to send it? Richie Dower is. Castro bobbles, and Herrera will score standing up. Helton is second. 5-0 Colorado. They're going to call it a single and an RBI, and he moved to second on the throw. Todd Helton with his 6th RBI of the season.
Well, the reason they were able to get this run is because Jonathan got the extra jump, but then Todd Helton hitting into left center field. And I already talked about Byrd moving over into that gap. Well, he's able to cut it off, but because of the speed of Jonathan and the aggressiveness of Richie Dower, put the pressure on the Cubs to make the play. There's a bat relay throw in, short hop. Starlin Castro, he couldn't make the play home. Helton advances to second.
Well, Johnny's safe at home, safe and secure. New York life. Invaluable. You gotta love Johnny Herrera.
I just think any kid that is watching the ball game right now should pattern their game after the way he plays it.
Plays it right.
You know what? Troy, Carlos, all those guys are phenomenal players. But Johnny has to play it that way to succeed at this level.
It bears repeating a story Troy Tulowitzki told me in Pittsburgh. He said Johnny Herrera, more than any other guy in this clubhouse, me included, this is Troy's words, plays within himself, knows every situation, and never deviates from that. Garza is going to get to the bag. Nice play by Barney to throw out Seth Smith. Take a hit away and perhaps another run as Helton was around third. Rockies get Johnny Herrera to the plate, 5-0. Stories from around the country, and they want to hear from you. Weigh in on your favorite sports story or celebrity gossip. Huey, you listening? By calling to the show. Dan Patrick Show, weekday morning, 7 a.m. on Root Sports. Darwin Barney at the plate. He's been a strikeout victim twice. He takes a slider, strike one. Yolis Chassin has been terrific so far. He's allowed 5 singles. He has struck out 5. He's not walked a hitter. Been in command throughout. In the air to center field. Pretty well hit. And Dexter reaches up and stabs it. That was a better hit than I thought. More importantly, it's probably a little better hit than Dexter Fowler thought. But Dexter's 6'5" and he runs really well.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that catch he had out in Pittsburgh, too, where he's going back and had to reach up at the last second and able to make the catch. That time he did the same thing. To his glove side also helps a little bit. He can reach out just a little bit further to make the play. What I like, Drew, though, through 5 innings now with it 1 out here in the 6th, at least when he has 59 pitches.
That's a terrific number. Marlon Byrd takes a changeup inside. Ball 1. Byrd, ground ball to first and a ground ball too short. Retiring of numbers is, well, Todd doesn't like retiring of numbers. Jim Otto 0-0. I mean, in Oakland, I don't think he retired around the entire NFL. It is fun to see Johnny Herrera doing well. It's Becky up in Great Falls, Montana. Thanks for giving us a shout.
I like the Roberto Clemente shout out.
You know what? That one at least, can Todd make a play here? That one at least makes you pause for a moment. Johnny Bench was the best catcher ever. He's one of them. And John Elway's number 7 is retired naturally here in town. It should be. But again, it'd be hard to come up with another person. And this, you know, we came up with Dale Earnhardt in NASCAR. Another person that had such a profound impact on his sport that every team ought to retire. Michael Jordan, 23. You know, again, Michael Jordan's number 23. He was phenomenal. I enjoyed watching him play basketball more than anybody I've ever seen. But it shouldn't be retired in every arena, in my opinion.
Well, and then you're looking at a Bill Russell.
Yeah.
I mean, Oscar Robertson.
Ground ball to short. Tulowitzki.
Bird runs hard down that line.
Bird plays the game right.
He does, doesn't he?
And he's a guy that seems to get a little bit better each year. You know, his last 5 years, Bird's averaged 293. So power. Guy's going to hit close to 40 doubles. He was an all-star for the first time in his career last year. He plays the game right, Marlon Byrd. Aramis Ramirez, a couple of singles tonight. Hey, Drew and Huey. Tell me that, unlike years past, there are way more Rockies jerseys in the crowd than Cubs jerseys. You know, there are, legitimately so. It's a great Friday night crowd, and it's a chilly night. This ball was popped up, and Iannetta is not going to have a play. And Kyle in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Big Tulowitzki fan. He got to see all the bombs at Citi Field. Good for you, Kyle. And Ubaldo's coming back. I'm glad that writer wrote in because it was announced before the ball game by Jim Tracy that Ubaldo will not start on Monday against Tim Lincecum. He'll start on Tuesday. Again, is that Jonathan Sanchez on Tuesday?
Yeah, and what it does is it kind of matches you back up to your number 5 starter in Rogers, and then go to Ubaldo as your number 1, followed by De La Rosa on Wednesday. Yes, Chassin's doing a fine job. Yeah, Ismael's going to get that start Monday against Lincecum.
1-2 on Ramirez. In the air to pretty deep right field. Real deep right field. Smith can't make the catch. That hit the top of the wall. So it's a double. The top of that first level of the wall, I should say. So it's a double for Ramirez. Let's take a look at that again. And Seth came pretty close to making a catch here.
Well, he got back there too, and just think about coming off the road where they were in Citi Field. Much deeper there, but Seth, knowing this ballpark, goes back and actually got a little bit too far back because he went to jump, and then that ledge kind of restricted him from jumping to his maximum height to get that ball.
You're right. He may have been able to make that catch. Let's go downstairs. Get an update on Jerry Lane from Alana Rizzo.
Yeah, Drew, thanks very much. Crew Chief Jerry Lane was taken recently here to Rose Medical Center for tests on that ankle/foot area where he was hit by that ball. So he has been taken for tests. Hopefully it's not too serious.
All right, Alana, thank you.
I know Major League Baseball right now is probably already scurrying to try to get somebody in here for tomorrow's series. I don't think Jerry's going to be able to go in the next day or two to fill out this 3-man crew.
Pena swings over the top of a slider. It's 0-1. See the 10 on Chicago Cubs sleeves. That's to honor Ron Santo. Passed away this past off season. Great Chicago Cub, great third baseman, fun broadcaster. Battled diabetes for years.
Rode the emotions of a Chicago Cubs fan.
Yeah, there was no bigger Cubs fan than Ron Santo. 0-1 on Pena. The shift's on. And that drop in on the back door, evidently not. 1-1.
Forward strike zone. That might have just gone out and around the plate a little bit. That's exactly what it did.
Got a question about why Houston Street's in the dugout tonight. Sometimes closers, by the way, it's not unusual that they'll stay in the dugout until the later innings and then go down to the bullpen. But Houston is not available tonight. He pitched quite a bit in the Mets series. Pitched yesterday in Game 1 and threw 30+ pitches. So Jim Tracy's going to stay away from Houston Street tonight, and also Felipe Paulino.
Yeah, and another question mark out there will be Matt Belisle, kind of depending on the situations. Maybe a Matt Reynolds. Although Matt hasn't thrown a lot of innings, he's been up a lot. And that's why it's so important for Ulysse to go out there tonight and get a good, strong 8 innings. And
he gets a bouncing ball to Tulowitzki. And that's all for the Cubs in the 6th. A 2-out double by Ramirez does not cause a problem. Chacín is on his game. The Rockies have a 5-0 lead. Let's see what Alana Rizzo's up to again. Alana, what's cooking?
Well, I'm over here, guys, in left field, out of left field, kind of. But, you know, I was talking to Chris Iannetta earlier today about how maybe, just possibly, the new spring training facility is already reaping rewards for this team in terms of their great start out of the gate here in April. He said, you know what, it's not the only thing, but it certainly has been a factor in the way that we've started this season. He said, you don't understand those 6-hour bus trips every single day. Traveling back-to-back days, some of the veteran guys couldn't do it because the travel was really hard on their back. He said another thing that was really key for spring training is the team constantly played together. You didn't have a lot of split squad games and teams, you know, games that were with some players and some not. He said we also got to see the top pitchers of the opposition, the 1, 2, 3 guys. The hitters got to see the top pitchers, and the pitchers got to see the top hitters. It's really helped them get a great start, 10-2, hopefully 11-2, guys. So everything that they have in Scottsdale is certainly helping them in the regular season.
Yeah, and you know what some guys were pointing out that hasn't hurt either. On that 7-1 road trip, this is a bouncing ball to short. Lopez is thrown out by Starlin Castro. The Rockies, they said they were going to do this in the offseason. They brought a curveball machine, a pitching machine, the double wheels, Huey, so they could throw breaking balls in the cage in addition to hitting, you know, obviously you're going to hit a lot of 60-mile-an-hour fastballs, but for Carney Lansford and just getting used to tracking balls on the road with some break on and staying through the baseball.
Well, and also staying back. I think that is the other key thing. So you have to stay back to be able to hit the breaking pitch. So you go in between innings, or with the rain delay the other day, they go in there, they see some curveballs, and it does break differently out than it does here at Coors Field. So that helps. And all that together, to me, a lot of it goes back to spring training, being able to have everybody together, not having to travel, playing daily if you want. Those are the little things that really help out. Seeing the other team's best pitchers, because how many times did we see games down in Tucson where you'd see a double-A guy? And not to take anything away from those guys, but they're in Double-A for a reason.
That's not who you're going to see when you head north.
That's right.
Back in the day in Tucson, there were so many 75s running around for the opposition. You thought it was an offensive line convention.
Well, how many times would they bring a top-notch player down to Tucson? I mean, very rarely. There used to be a rule that you had to bring at
Three
least
starters.
Yeah, 3 starters. And sometimes those 3 starters were generous 3 starters.
There's Jeff Samardzija, former Notre Dame All-American wideout.
Probably known more for that than what he's been able to do pitching-wise at the big league level.
3-2 on Iannetta, and a ground ball to Aramis Ramirez. Two outfielders, Chacín coming up. Time for tonight's Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by the Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. This all ended up with the Rockies getting 4 runs on 1 play. A triple by Iannetta, and he scored on that errant throw by Starlin Castro. 1-0 on Chacín. He's got a hit tonight. Everybody in the lineup has a hit with the exception of Cargo and Jose Lopez.
Join Kathy Saban and Steve Spangler from 9 News for Weather and Science Day at Coors Field on May 11th. Always a fun day out here. Kathy Saban, yeah, she was here
out
today.
at the ballpark today.
Doing her live updates on the weather from Coors Field.
Barney makes the catch, and the Rockies go quietly in the 6th inning. We'll go to the 7th, 5-0 Colorado. Take a look at our Cooney Lexus look back. Well, the Rockies got the bases loaded. Chris Iannetta with 1 out, and he drove a triple over the head of Marlon Byrd. Seth Smith, the trail runner, and then the throw by Castro to try to get Iannetta. And that went in the dugout. Iannetta with a Little League grand slam, as we like to say. Triple and 3 RBIs. And Helton drove in the 5th run. With Johnny Herrera moving on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs, he'd come all the way around on that gapper. That's our Cooney Lexus look back, brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. In the 7th inning, Yoeli Chacín will face Rafael Soriano, Tyler Colvin, and Giovanni Soto. Aramis Ramirez is 3 for 3. The rest of the Cubs are 3 for 20. And it's been strike one consistently tonight.
Well, and that's why he's gotten so many easy ground ball outs. 11 on the evening, 5 strikeouts, only 2 fly ball outs.
Call him Rafael. How about Alfonso Soriano?
It's different.
So I mixed
positions.
up I mixed up the 3 card tonight, and Rafael and Alfonso. Oh, 0-2 on Soriano, and that's a pitch he's never been able to handle. That slider away. A lot of guys struggle with that pitch. That is strikeout number 6 tonight for Chacín. 1 gone. That'll bring up Colvin. Tonight's E470 Road Ahead brought to you by E470. Discover what 70 miles per hour feels like. Cruise E470 today. Cubs for 2 more ball games. Then the Giants come in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoon. Then it's off to FLA. Ball 1 on Colvin. Marlins came from behind. The Phillies tonight. Roy Oswalt had started in that ball game. As after back-to-back outstanding performances by Halladay and Cliff Lee.
You know you're going to get that when you face the Phillies.
They're off to a good start. This is a fly ball to shallow right. 2 gone. A lot of mishit balls tonight.
Yeah, that was a jam shot right onto the thumbs of Tyler Colvin. But it all has to do with that first pitch strike. 15 for 25 now on the night. It's being able to get those to get to that hard slider that he just makes right-handers look silly. Just looked it up. Matt Cain started for the Giants tonight, so we'll get him on Wednesday.
Soto swings and misses at a slider. It's 0-1.
Blake DeWitt has grabbed a bat. He's come to the on-deck circle.
It's the 80th pitch, Huey, with 2 outs in the 7th inning for Chacín. He may give that whole bullpen a night off.
And boy, could they use it. After the doubleheader, the extra inning games, get back on track, get the guys some rest out there. Even Alan Johnson was going to be available for tonight's ball game if something were to happen, and then they'd worry about Sunday starter, but it looks like he'll be able to do that now and just make his start on Sunday.
Two and two.
Maybe you can throw that slider, the one he struck out Soriano with, right here to Soto, and you'd get him down and away, working down and away.
Like that, right there, that pitch.
That pitch. But he had to execute it.
Yolis, way to listen to Huey and Iannetta. 7 punch outs for Yolis Chacín. 5-0 Colorado. Welcome Windjammer viewers from Evanston, Wyoming. We and the entire Rocky organization appreciate your support. Thanks for rooting on the Rockies. Cub fans recovered. See, there you go. They saw the light. Huey, you went to school at the University of Wyoming. You ever make your way to Evanston?
Yes, I have. Over on the western side of Wyoming.
Glad you're along tonight from Evanston. Come on down and say hello next time you're able to get to Coors Field. Jeff Samardzija will take over. It'll be his 5th appearance this year. That's a lot of walks in 4 appearances, Huey.
That's been part of his problem. Throwing enough strikes, and they can't figure out with Samardzija. Is he going to start? Is he going to relieve? He's got a power arm, but he doesn't throw enough strikes. What? They're almost at the end of the rope with him as far as what do they do? They keep running him out there in the relief role. He wants to start.
Two-strike count on Dexter Fowler. Crowd of 30,285 in the house tonight. And Samardzija strikes out Dexter Fowler. Matt Garza goes 6 innings. He allows 5 runs. All of the runs were earned, even the Iannetta run, because behind Iannetta, you remember Dexter Fowler doubled, so that would have plated Chris.
I like that one.
Spark plug. Yep.
That one might stick.
I was kidding Dan O'Dowd on the way home yesterday from New York. I said Johnny's going to come home. He's going to have a whole cheering section and a bronze bust. Pretty close, huh? I guess they're working on the bronze bust, right?
Yeah, but when you're talking about an on-base percentage over 550.
Twice more
actually,
tonight.
no, it's going to actually go up. Might be over 600 now.
Yeah. Here's the 1-1. That's down.
And you always wonder at what he had such a great spring, and then comes out and then it sits for about 3 or 4 days before he gets the opportunity. You wonder if is it going to translate into the regular season? Is he going to keep it going? I don't think that was answered.
Two outs. It's a great point. He hit .372 in the spring, and then he really doesn't get to play for the better part of a week, and now you're going to be slow out of the gate. Obviously, that was not the case. A reminder, more Toyota talk for you to be involved in on the Toyota post-game show. Text your comments to Toyota, and the number's 720-720. There's an adorable Rockies fan. Carr goes 0 for 3. Trying to hit his stride, a home run, 10 RBIs. What do you see, Jeff, with Carlos?
Just pulling off the ball a little bit, not staying through the middle of the zone. We watch him in batting practice so much, Drew, that the way he can hit the ball out to left field like a right-handed pull hitter, and just see that right shoulder just flying open just a little bit too much, especially on balls away from him.
And he got painted there. Great pitch by Samardzija. Good inning for Samardzija. A couple of punch outs. We'll go to the 8th inning. The Rockies up 5-0. Depot doing more on defense. Dexter Fowler had to reach up and make a grab a little earlier in the ball game, robbing Darwin Barney of perhaps an extra base hit. Blake DeWitt's going to pinch hit for Jeff Samardzija, lead things off in the 8th inning. And the former Dodger takes high. It's 2-0.
DeWitt was really the front runner coming out of spring training for that second base job for the Cubs, and Darwin Barney took it away from him.
That misses 3-0. That's first 3-ball count tonight. 3-0 count, I should say. You know, Blake DeWitt really struggled in the spring. Not only did he lose the opportunity to start, I mean, he was touch and go to make the club.
Yeah, and now he's a backup over at third base, a little bit at second base, but hitting 125 coming off the bench, and a guy that really hasn't done it much in his career is not going to keep you around very long.
Tulowitzki throws him out, 1 out.
Nice recovery by Yolis. Fall behind 3-0 and then come back, throw 2 strikes, get him out. And now you got that top of that lineup with Castro with 1 out.
Castro's 0 for 3, 3 groundouts in the ball game.
Hey, ask about the buy one, get one free suite offer. There's 17 buy one, get one dates in April and May, and that includes, folks, includes the Giants games.
.2-0 on Castro, 10th in the league in hitting last year at an even .300. Rudy Jaramillo, the hitting coach for the Cubs, believes he'll hit 20-25 home runs a season once he grows up a little bit.
Hanley Ramirez reborn to me. Same type of player. Has an unbelievable approach at the plate for such a young guy. And that's why he just reminds me of Hanley, the way he handles himself at the plate, out in the field, can steal bases.
Well, he's had a great slider tonight, hasn't he?
It's something that he really hasn't had on a consistent basis on his first 2 starts this year. Tonight he figured it out. And James Russell is warming up in the bullpen now for the Cubs. James started the other night down in Houston for his first major league start.
Two and 2 on Castro with 1 out. Dexter Fowler has another easy play. And that'll bring up Darwin Barney. A couple of strikeouts and a line drive that was flagged down by Fowler for Barney. Wells Fargo customers, get your 2-for-1 Rockies tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. See a Wells Fargo banker today for details. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. Well, those 2 guys at the top of the order have been extraordinary in tandem in the Houston series, Castro and Barney, but together they're 0 for 7 tonight. Just missed. Hey, let's give a shout out to the young umpire, Vic Carapazza. He's had a very consistent and fair strike zone.
You have not seen anybody turn around, bark at him, argue at all. He's been right there. Yeah, and the other thing I like about him, he gives that quick strike.
You took the words out of my mouth. That is so helpful for fans. I think as a hitter, you appreciate it, right?
Sure.
You don't want to look around and go, hey, what's it going to be?
Well, think about Troy the other day. He only thought he had 2 strikes on him. In the Mets game the other day.
Yeah, that to me, that's bad mechanics when you just lift your arm and indicate strike, but the guy at the plate can't see it, and if there's no audio with it,
exactly,
or the audio's under your breath.
That's why he thought he only had 2 strikes, and instead he had struck out, but he didn't know that because the ump didn't call it.
Here's the 2-2. Pitch number 100 is down. That's a great balance for a guy that sometimes struggles to be consistently in the strike zone. 68% strikes tonight. Very good. And the minute I say that, he walks his first guy of the evening. So Barney goes to first. That'll bring up Bird.
Wanted to go down and away like he'd struck out a couple guys earlier, up and just really a hanging slider. It wasn't a strike, real close, and that'll get Bob Apodaca on the phone. Looking down to see who it might be.
Could be Lindstrom or Morales.
Probably one of those two. Franklin Morales' ankle is fine.
And on the next pitch, Bird pops it up. Tulowitzki backing up. Troy's got it. And Chacin is safely through 8 innings of shutout baseball. Tulowitzki will lead it off. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Today's Ecotech game summary is brought to you by Ecotech Institute in Denver, where you can make the world your workplace. We'll check the Ecotech game summary in a few minutes. Jhoulys Chacin will be the main feature of it. He's thrown 8 shutout innings. Now, we know if Chacin can get ahead of hitters, he's got a devastating slider and a tremendous changeup. He's been ahead of virtually every hitter tonight, Jeff.
Yeah, 7 strikeouts, only walked 1 hitter, and that allows him to get those strikeouts, easy ground balls, flyouts. Really, the only ball, looking back on this ball game, was that double to right field off the auxiliary scoreboard by Ramirez. It was a double that could have possibly been, if it was played maybe a little differently, caught by Seth Smith, but still, he hit it a fair way,
right.
And so you're sitting there going, to me, that was the one ball.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there's nothing really been hit hard. James Russell throws a slider and drops in at the knees of Tulowitzki. Troy a single and a run scored to second, ground ball to third, and a pop to short. 1 for 3. Rockies trying to win for the 7th consecutive day. 21-year-old shortstop Castro throws out 26-year-old shortstop Troy Tulowitzki. There's our Ecotech Institute game summary. The Rockies got 4 in the second inning. Iannetta bases clearing triple, and he came around on an error by Castro on the same play. 11 ground ball outs for Chacín, as Huey mentioned, 7 punch outs. Todd Helton's got a couple of hits and a ribby tonight. And Ramirez, the only guy really to give Chacín any difficulty. Helton retired. And that'll bring up Seth Smith. There is Matt Lindstrom. Now, is he getting ready just in case? Do you send Chacín back out there? He's in the low hundreds. We saw yesterday De La Rosa throw more than 110 pitches in the ballgame.
Yeah, but I look at the last couple hitters, he's starting to fall behind, starting to labor just a little bit. You got Ramirez coming up first inning. He's got 102 pitches. So you look at it, probably going to go out and let Lindstrom throw. To me, I'm not sure he's out there warming up right now if he wasn't going to come into the ballgame.
You know what? I'm going to go the other way. I think Jim Tracy's going to give him a chance to throw a complete game shutout.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the young man get that opportunity.
Because
I think you learned something from that.
Yeah, and I think he's giving Lindstrom, he's getting him ready in case, to your point, one or two guys gets on, he may say, all right, you know what, he's had enough.
The other thing
deep counts, and he starts to get around 110, 112.
The other thing with that, though, Lindstrom knows how to warm up out in the bullpen because he's been out there in that role before. So he's not going to go out there firing as hard as a young guy would.
Hold on, a miss. Another thing to keep in mind, one of the things managers and pitching coaches look at, here he comes. They look at how stressful the night was, and it hasn't been very for Chacín. By Southwest Airlines. New Rapid Rewards, unlimited reward seats, and no blackout dates. Rockies are 3 outs from moving to 11-2 in 2011. They're 5-0 in the driver's seat on the Chicago Cubs. Let's send it to Tom Helmer for a Toyota postgame preview. Tom.
Drew, on the postgame, we'll be talking deep thoughts. Another starting pitcher goes deep into a ball game. We'll break down the performance of Chacín. Also, we'll get you into the clubhouse. And I wanted to update you on Jerry Lane, the umpire that was hit in the leg in the second inning. I talked to him just a few minutes ago. He is out of the hospital. They have sent him back with a walking boot. It is not broken, but he said the pain is something else. Drew?
Yeah, I would imagine, Tom, that they'll probably get a replacement umpire for Jerry for the rest of the series. He's in a walking boot. I doubt he's working tomorrow. Thanks for that update, Tom. Don't forget, Toyota Talk continues during the entire postgame show, so keep texting your comments. And here's what happened to Jerry very early in the ball game. Carlos Pena just ripped the ball, and Lane couldn't get out of the way. Ramirez at the plate fouls it off. It's 1-1 as Chacín's going to have an opportunity to throw a complete game shutout. One ball, 2 strikes on the 32-year-old Aramis Ramirez, who 6 times in his career has driven in more than 100 runs in a season.
Last year, he led the club in both home runs and RBIs. 25 home runs, 83 RBIs. Low numbers for RBIs. He got off to a slow start.
He got off to a horrendous start. To third. He's picked up there by Lopez. That's one. First time Ramirez has been retired tonight. That'll bring up Pena. It'll take us to our Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Bases loaded. Chris Iannetta got a slider, and he drove it over the outstretched glove of Marlon Byrd at center. Everybody come home. And Starlin Castro threw it in the Cubs dugout. Wasn't his intended target. Chris would come home. The Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Pena tonight is 1 for 3. The shift is on. And that pitch is high. And again, Toyota Talk in the post-game show. You know the drill. Rockies 4 in the second, as we just showed you. Helton drove in Herrera in the 5th inning. Rockies actually haven't done much since then. Their last 10 have been retired. 2-0. I really think that with Chacín tonight, Tracy and Bob Apodaca said there hasn't been really a stressful inning. And so as opposed to 100 pitches where guys living on the edge for 60 of them, it's pretty much been in cruise control.
Well, think back to last year, too. In the second half of the season after the All-Star break, he was one of the top 5 pitchers in the National League for ERA. That was Yolis. He was 224. The leader there was Zambrano and Hudson. Cole Hamels was on that list. But now he takes that next step the following year. And he's a guy that's moved up from the number 5 starter to the number 3 starter this year. So this is another growth step for him to be able to do this. Go out there, throw a complete game, and give that bullpen a much needed rest.
This is their 3-1. Well,
this is where you're all right at 3-1. If you want to throw him a fastball away to see, go ahead and challenge him in this instant. I mean, you're ahead 5-0. You've already got 1 out. Just set up on the outside corner, see if he'll pull it and roll over.
So a second walk issued. And that'll bring up Soriano. We spent so much time talking about pitch counts. The modern game. Not that 20 years ago wasn't a modern game, or 30 years ago, but I know a guy that's a good friend of yours that cannot stand.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, cannot stand that any mention of a pitch count, and that is the great Nolan Ryan.
And he's kind of taken it out of the playbook for the Texas Rangers in just that regard. Get him over that mental hurdle of saying, okay, at 100 I'm supposed to get tired, and at 125 you have to take me out. I understand protecting guys. You don't want to ruin a guy's career or arm.
That's a good pitch. 0-2 on Soriano.
But sometimes they have to take a little growth step to be able to go out there.
I'll tell you something that may shock you, because it shocked me. Another figure that I guarantee Nolan Ryan doesn't like is quality starts. 6 innings, 3 runs or less, because in his day and age, you wanted to shake hands at the end of the day. Ground ball to third. To first, double play, complete game shutout for Chacín. 25th complete game shutout in the history of the Rockies, the 10th here at Coors Field. What a marvelous performance by Yolis Chacín. He was in total control throughout. Aaron Cook against the Padres, July 1st, 2008. The last time a Rockies pitcher hurled a complete game shutout. Chacín is now 3-0. The Rockies are a Major League best 11-2. Our delivery of the game brought to you by Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich delivery guys. Yolis Chacín pounded the strike zone early and often, and then his slider and his changeup virtually unhittable. Not really a hard hit ball all night. He ends up with 7 strikeouts, a pair of walks, one in the 8th and one in the 9th. A marvelous performance by Yoli Chassin. Charlie Monfort approves. He's 3-0. The Rockies have won 7 straight. Stick around. The Toyota postgame show is up next.